Hey everybody, JJ here, back with another episode. I guess it's an episode of Zoom Networking. Um, our guest speaker today is out of Pace Morby Sub 2 community, and I'm sure you've heard of Sub 2 if you're into real estate. If not, as I like to say, you're probably living under a rock. Pace Morby's community is the premier real estate education group in the country, and having been in that program for almost a year, I've been blessed and honored to make the acquaintance and friendships of some phenomenal people. And this gentleman today is no exception. Our guest speaker today is a businessman, an entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's started as a student. He has worked by helping his church and building his community, and now is a leader within the real estate investment community, as a man that walks the walk of the talk he talks. And as a huge inspiration, my good friend, Keston Glasgow. How are you, Keston?
Man, I think that's a better introduction than my bio. That was good, bro. Thank you.
Oh
What's
my
up,
God.
JJ?
You're so welcome, brother. I'm thrilled that you're here. You know, I've said this to so many of the guys on the call, is that I've become aware of you long before we got a chance to know one another.
I appreciate that.
And as I was telling people before, as we were warming up to the call here, that it's important to make ourselves visible so that we can then get to meet people, because we're all very busy. And of course, people like yourself, you know, being successful and leading by example. Let's start with leading by example. Brother, you were the host of the Daily Dial yesterday for Pace's Sub 2 community. That's something I find really interesting. I just want to shift gears for a second. Tell us about what the Daily Dial is and your participation as a guest speaker. How did that come about?
So the Daily Dial, man, going into the history of how the Daily Dial actually started, the Daily Dial started when it was ran by more of a private group, and we started it on Skype. So we used to do it on Skype first, and then when we were meeting, we used to meet at 4 a.m. Just kind of like an early kind of club kind of thing, and then Pace seen the potential, and what we would do on that Daily Dial was role plays. Right. And when we would role play, Pace seen the potential of it, and then he formalized what was happening. And so Caroline became the host, and then it kind of took on its own life. And so, man, I've been on the Daily Dial from day one, where I've seen it evolve. And so we used to role play primarily. And I say used to because I stepped out of what typically happens on the Daily Dial because I seen a need. I would be on Zooms and I would look and I would read posts, and there would be so many people that would talk about imposter syndrome and like losing motivation and all these different struggles that we all struggle with. Mm-hmm. But I believe that I had and have a gift to be able to help people overcome a lot of these motivational struggles. And so it started out by my session. I started to do like the first 10 minutes. Then I moved it to 30 minutes would be the first 30 minutes would be motivational stuff. And then, man, one day I'm like, screw it, 2 hours of straight motivation. And then it just continued on. I'm like, we're not going back. Right. And even before I started doing that, I started to really apply my own abilities, where before I got into doing the motivational stuff, I would start breaking down seller calls. And so what I would do is I would take one of Pace's calls, because people, for some reason, I could hear things that's not said, right? And so when I studied Pace And when I became a closer was because I studied pace to the T. That was my study. I never joined a live Zoom. I probably, since in my 2 years of being in sub two, I probably joined a handful of times live Zooms. What I would do is I would study all the recordings. And so I started studying Pace's seller calls, and that's how I became a closer. And so it became super easy for me. In 2021, my wife and I, we got over 21 properties, all creative, right? And so it was this, I just got really good at emulating and learning from Pace, and also reading books and sales. And I didn't understand why people didn't get it, because I was imposing my abilities on others. And so when I started to realize that, I'm like, hold on, let me help. Let me see if I break these calls down and I show you guys what I hear and what he did when he said those words, maybe you could get better versus us just role playing. And I started to do that, and I started to break it down, and it became a hit. People loved it because it was like, oh my God, I never even thought that's what those words meant. Right. And so that then turned into me starting to do Transformational Tuesdays. And that's kind of where we're at now. And so that's been my evolution, let's say, of being on the Daily Dial.
So you're the Transformational Tuesday host.
Yes.
Now, how long have you been doing that, the Transformational Tuesdays?
I would say maybe end of last year, I started doing it. Yep. So maybe like around the end of last year, I started doing it, and coming back. Yeah. So like November of last year, just about, I started doing Transformational Tuesdays.
Awesome. You know, we're going to get in a little bit more about the great Keston Glasgow. You're a legend. You are just a legend. It's an honor to have you here. But, you know, what I like to do, kind of shift gears lately, is going to more of an interview format. Sure. And everybody probably knows about Keston, the real estate investor. But I want to talk about you, the guy, the family man, you know. For our conversation, I found out that you how do I put this? You're not raising. You're from Trinidad, right?
I am from Trinidad.
So, at what age did you come over to the United States?
Man, my family and I, we migrated in 2002. We migrated. Just wanted a better life, more opportunity, and so
we were. Your mom carried you over. You must have been just a little guy.
No, I came when I was 16. You
just look young.
I just look young, and I'm still young, right? But when we came over, man, it was just my parents wanted a better opportunity for us, really. And in that merger, man, I've seen my parents, they didn't have jobs legally, right? And so my dad, he did construction. I did what I could do, cleaning my church and handing out flyers for Golden Crust and, you know, that type of stuff, just to be able to help out. And so I did that for quite a few months. I started doing construction as well, a lot of demolition stuff, simply because that's what immigrants did, you know? And so I did whatever I could do to help and to assist, to be able to buy my own stuff, you know, like,
there you go.
And so that went on for a lot of years, man. And so that's kind of like my journey into the US. I don't know if you want me to go on, because I could tell an entire story.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yes, hear a little bit about your story.
So coming from that, obviously, I remember one of the life-changing things that happened was when I went to college. So I did high school, two years of high school here. And then when I went to college, my college teacher said, hey, I'll be able to give you a job using a student visa. And man, I was so happy because I was doing like IT stuff. No, I was doing communication technology, but it was with a focus on video editing and production. And man, I wanted to do that type of stuff so bad. I love production and TV. And so I started going to school for it. And so in the production lab, my teacher was like, hey, I'll give you a job using your visa. And man, after 2 weeks of working, I remember this so clearly, bro. He said, Keston, I can't pay you. And he couldn't use my student visa. And dude, that broke my heart. Literally, I went home and I was crying. I was so frustrated because here I am wanting to work, but this paper kind of dictated my life to say if I could work or not. These digits, and I got so frustrated, man. And that's when I committed myself to saying that I will never be lazy one day when I have the ability to work. And so once I did get the ability to work, my first official job, which happened within a month or two, and man, it happened because I didn't sit and wait for anyone. I applied online, but I wanted I wanted something instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So I went knocking on doors, bro. I went in person handing out my resume. I did the manual thing, just like what people did back in the day. I'm like, well, if it worked back in the day, it could work today, right? And so I did what other people weren't willing to do. And I started handing out my resumes. And I remember I got my first job was at Apple. My very first job was at Apple. And when I started working there, I also started interning to be at this company called LA Digital, where I was doing my production stuff, right? And at that point in time, reality TV was hot. So, I was helping edit and I was in these studios like 24/7. And then my son was on the way. And so when my son was about to be born, that made me say, man, I need like a real job because, things were elevating. And I had worked my way up in Apple. I started out on the floor. Then I became I worked my way all the way up I became a creative. That's what it was called at the time, where you would teach people how to use products and stuff like that. And then I became a genius. I started helping people at the Genius Bar, just kind of worked my way through. And then I got a job. Well, I started to take a course. I did a IT course because I wanted a good job. I figured that the whole production life, you had to intern and kiss butt for a long time. And I didn't have time for that. I'm like, man, I got to get this thing going. So I ended up getting a A+ certificate to start IT. And I got into IT. And then I started working for Macy's corporate. I was actually Peter Lundgren. I'm not even sure who the CEO is now. I was his IT guy. And so I got in really good, and I used to set up all his meetings and all that type of stuff. Man, working for Macy's corporate was one of my best jobs. I used to get free clothes all the time, a bunch of free crap, bro. Like, I would go home with garbage bags. I used to ask my ex-wife to come and pick me up because I would have 2 garbage bags full of stuff. I'm sure my parents, everyone is disappointed when I left that job because It was amazing.
Brought home the goodies.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, perfume, shoes, all that stuff. I was buying stuff for like $10, $5. Like it's crazy. Anyway, and then when hold on, see, I just reminisce on this job.
That's
Because when
cool.
people would come and they would come and present before they actually got put in the stores, I would set the meetings up. So in them trying to bribe, I guess the people who had to
Yeah.
make the decision, they would give me an extra one, or I would be able to take the stuff that they left in the conference room.
Yeah.
So I always had stuff first before it was like the Rihanna and all that type of stuff. I met a lot of great people there, a lot of stars. Anyway, but I became lazy in the mind because it was such an easy job. I had my own office with fridge and TV and all that. I'm like, man, I need more. So then I moved from that job, and then I started working at the law firm, which I retired from. I started help desk at the law firm, moved my way up to being a systems engineer,
Wow.
and moved my way up to being a cybersecurity engineer, all without doing any more certification, just by personality
Mhm.
and by the will and the desire for more. And so I remember when how I got the job, the first promotion, they were gonna hire someone from outside, and the CEO had a conversation with the CEO had a conversation with the director for the engineer group that was right outside of my cubicle where I sat. And so when that meeting was finished, I walked in and said, "Hey, I overheard you guys getting ready to go post this position. How about you give me the job? You'd pay a lot less, and you would be able to train someone up from inside, and I'll be able to be, I would assure you that I could learn the things that you're going to pay premium for less." And so I gave them a solution. He took me up on the offer. I got that job, and I just kept busting my butt, bro, until they just kept promoting me. And that's how I got up I didn't have like all the training to be a cybersecurity engineer. I just showed them that I had the will to learn,
Yeah.
and they trained me. And so I did that job, and that's where let me say, retired from, when I started doing real estate in 2020. In 2020, I felt like this pull of wanting to do more was just too strong, and that's when I started doing real estate. I paid. I was one of those guys that I paid the 30 grand at a mentorship, which I'm ever grateful for, because it gave me the foundation that I still have today, and I'm ever grateful for my first mentor, and because I still help him even with what he does today. I still help him, and so with that, in July of 2020, my wife and we moved here to Georgia from New York, but that was my last day at work, July of 2020. And we hadn't done a deal yet, but because I had the training, because I had hired a high performance coach, and because I had that training that they gave me, which helped me to get so clear and build new habits, that I just felt invincible, because I felt like I knew what to do to get results.
Mm.
And with that being said, from July to December, we had wholesaled. I had a really good 6-figure job. We had wholesaled 1.5 times my salary in 6 months.
Wow.
And I was like, man, but I wasn't able to do creative deals. I loved creative deals from my previous mentor, and I understood the mechanics, but I didn't know how to close. And so I joined Pace's group. That's the one reason I'm like, this dude sounds like he knows what he's doing, right? And so that's when I joined Sub 2 in December of 2020. And that's why we were able to still wholesale, but do the amount of deals in 2021 that we did. We flew out to Arizona in January of 2021. I was able to spend time in the office that's how Caroline and I got really close. Matter of fact, when I was in Arizona, Caroline tells this story all the time. I was able to lock up 7 contracts like in one day, being in the office, and just like I was on a roll, right? And being in the energy, it was just like amazing. And so that kind of took us into so 2021 was a pretty big year for us. It was a great year where we acquired quite a bit of properties, 21 properties, then creatively, all with no money out of our pocket.
Wow.
Right. Then that moved on to 2022, where now we have 53 units, and we're at the point of almost a little under $7 million in real estate right now.
Wow. In 2 years.
In 2 years.
Wow. That is a success story, my friend. You know, you're amazing. So, you know, I noticed from your Facebook page that your cover photo is your family. So you're pretty tied into your family there.
Oh yeah.
They must be very proud of you.
Man, my family is everything to me, man. There's nothing more to life than just being able to have that time. And so I make sure I allot time and space for the people that I love.
Yeah.
That's I don't know a better way to say it, man, than they're my heart. They are, and especially my son is the reason why I do what I do, you know.
Of course.
So it's near and dear, like super dear to me, my family.
Now, as your business has grown, have you been able to bring some of your family on with you? Do they participate at all, or
so
follow your lead?
They are. So right now, my sister, she's on the cusp of wanting to leave her job now because she started trying some Airbnbs. I've been able to kind of coach her with that. And so now she's at that place. And I know that I'll be able to start employing them pretty soon because of my goal for the next 90 days. And so because of my goal being so big and hairy and audacious, I have to employ my sister. She's going to be a major part of that. So the more systematized I get, the more I definitely will. But I've been able to help inspire them into doing things that they will not have done in the past.
I'm sure.
At all. So now everyone's awareness of money and how to make money, how to kind of think. It's really the thoughts, right? They're all elevated. And so now we're doing more, even as a family, being able to think more. We have quite a few properties amongst us. I manage my family properties. They have their own properties now. And so we've all elevated just because of the education, and that me taking a chance on myself. Now I'm able to impact my entire family, and nothing is more amazing.
So tell me, what's this goal? You got me curious. What's this goal that you've got for yourself for 90 days?
You ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Buckle up.
All right.
0 to 100,000 a month in 90 days.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That is fantastic. And I know you'll do it. You know you'll do it.
I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
absolutely
phenomenal.
would.
You
Yeah,
know,
man.
wanted to ask you about something. The Act and Know It's Impossible to Fail challenge.
That's why I'm doing it, man. I gotta live what I talk. I
Yeah,
don't. Oh, you just got me passionate. I don't say things that I don't do. I've promised myself. I promise the people that I speak to every time I get on the Daily Dial. I say it all the time. I will never tell you something that I have never done or doing, and that's a promise. Being a hypocrite is not in my book of rules. It just does. It just doesn't fit my personality. And so I have to do what I try to encourage people to do. And so my original goal was $10,000 before the end of the year, 0 to 10,000. My mentor in multifamily said, bro, 10X that. That's easy. I said, okay. When your mentor challenges you, you do what they say.
yeah,
You do what they say. So now I'm like, crap. Now I got this hairy, audacious goal. What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? What needs to happen? Right. And so for the last 2 days, because this goal was just put on me, right? I've been calling people like crazy. I've been networking. And so I've picked a town. I've picked where I need to go. And so literally, I'm going to practice what I preach. And I talked to my wife this morning because every day my mind is thinking. I'm like, babe, if we got to move for 90 days to go to the town, just like what I did for my, when I got my papers, right? I went and I was door knocking. I went with my resume. I said, if we got to move for 90 days to make this happen, are you down? She's like, babe, I'm down. I'm going to go in that town and make it happen, bro. Because I have to do what it takes. This is the only way I'm able to talk to people and say, you could do it too.
I love you, brother. I just, you're phenomenal. Your heart, your passion, you're family oriented. Your smile's worth $1 million all by itself. Yeah, no, it's one of the things I heard when I got into real estate education, a few years back, was that the real gold here are the people that we meet and making those relationships and growing with them. And so for me, it's just a true honor and a privilege to know you, to become your friend, and to have us create this dialogue that will, we can one day, to having to come up to California and have a social gathering. I want to get all the guest speakers from Sub 2 to my house at one time. It's going to be a rock star friggin' party, brother. Get everybody together. But, when it comes to getting to where you're at, were there any hurdles in the beginning, any specific challenges that you had to overcome?
Bro, 1,000%, man. You always have to overcome your old paradigms, your old habits, right? And that's the thing that most people never do. They're never able to get past their old habits. The thing that where people are motivated, then they lose motivation and they motivated again. And that's because they're around the same set of people. They're around doing the same things. You're eating the same foods. And so if you don't make dramatic changes, then you're going to go back. And I went through that, which is why now I paid to become an official certified high performance coach, because when I learned how to be able to overcome my own paradigms and to set a goal and achieve it, I needed to be able to help others with that. And so because I've been able to overcome and have a level of success, now I help people with overcoming their paradigms to achieve a level of success.
It's phenomenal. So when you're helping other people to overcome their challenges, And if someone wanted to work with you or get coaching or something of this nature, how might they reach you? Would it be Instagram? Would you have a website? What would be the best way for people to reach out to you if they wanted to talk to Keston Glasgow and get some direction and some focus?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, my website, it's up. Kess on Purpose. Reach out to me. Reach out to me at Kess on Purpose and book a consultation call. Because not everyone gets in, JJ. Honestly, man, not everyone gets in because I'm so passionate. I also call people out on their bluff, right? And so I'm not really a softie when it comes to doing the work. I'm compassionate, but I'm not soft. And so I'm going to tell you where you're falling and where you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Like this morning, one of my clients called me because I have a 911 policy and I got to jump in just a few minutes. I have this 911 policy where if you're going through something very urgent, I will answer because I time block very heavy. And so I typically get back to you when I have that allotted time. But I had to say to her, I say, hey, I know we have a love-hate relationship. I could always tell when you hate me. And when you hate me is because when I push you and I tell you what you need to hear, but you don't want to hear, you take yourself away. And that's okay. I'm going to reach out to you and tell you what you're doing. Like, hey, I noticed you're pulling back. And that's okay. I'm just letting you be aware that that's what's happening right now. And you're not doing what you need to do to break through to get to the other side. Right. And so we had that conversation and she's so grateful that I'm aware and I let her be aware of where she's at in her journey to be able to help her get to where she needs to get to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to make sure my editor puts up your website there. So when people look at the video on YouTube, they'll be able to connect with you. And that's KES on purpose guys.com. And you can reach him there.
Yes, sir.
We're going to wrap up in a minute here because I know your time is tight today. But one of the things I wanted to ask, and I know you're big on relationships. I've got a networking group and I talk about relationships all the time. But for the new investor, much less the experienced investor, what is the importance of networking for people to, towards achieving the success of their business? How does it, what role does that play for someone who's maybe watching this video now and listening? And, I hear people think, well, I'll network later. Let me get my business going first. What's the importance of networking for the success of the new investor?
You could stay at networking and run and have a business. Networking can be a business. It is so important, bro. Like knowing the right person. Because again, for my goal, the first thing is what I ask myself, who do I need to call? Who do I need? I need somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And so I need to know who that person is. And so networking is everything. It's everything. Knowledge is a piece, but having the right person is beyond everything.
That I love that. Thank you so much. Hey, so we're gonna cut this now because I know we got some time. We're privileged to have you for the time we have. Guys, if you're watching the YouTube video today, if you're watching Mr. Keston Glasgow, he is the man. Please like the YouTube video, put something in the comments below on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Oh, do you have a YouTube channel?
Not yet.
Nope. You will, though. I'm sure you will. So, yeah, subscribe to Flip Side Up with JJ. And just want to thank you guys for being with us today. If you're on the call, hang on, because we're going to go to the breakout rooms. We may have Keston for a few minutes, although I know he does have to jump. But everybody else, thank you for joining us today on Zoom Networking. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Come back for more. We're going to have more great speakers like Keston coming up in the future. On behalf of Keston and myself, thank you guys and see you soon.